Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Real Truth Call. Today is Wednesday, January the 3rd, 2018. I thank you all so much for joining us tonight. So yesterday, I was at the office, of course, and we got a call from Jared. And he said, you know what, I would love to come in and go ahead with, we had talked a while back about the education part of what's going on in the world, and we tried it once, but it did not pan out. So I would love to come in and talk about the new technologies to start the year off. I said, oh, my goodness. The callers would just love to start the new year off with you telling us about the new technologies. Based on the fact that we have over 250 emails and counting about the med beds, hey, this is going to be awesome. So we agreed that he will come in and work on that tonight and see where it leads us. So in the meantime, I would like to say thank you all so much. I pray that you all had a wonderful Christmas. Merry, Merry Christmas, and an exciting entrance into the new year. And if you didn't, well, praise the Lord anyway, because you're above the ground, and prayerfully you are walking around. So, in the meantime, I trust that everybody is doing well and that life is treating you graciously as you step into your new season of prosperity. Oh, my goodness. So, guess what? Jared is going to be in, in about 5 minutes, and he's got some exciting information to talk about concerning the med beds. Now, check this out. Get your pen and paper so that you can take your own notes, because I will not be taking notes. So, last week I was going to come in right after Christmas on the 27th, but I don't have the internet. I don't have the money to pay for it. So I canceled the call because I said, you know what, it is too cold to be trying to leave this office at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get home, and everybody else is right by their bed. So I'm canceling the call. And so right now I'm on a hot spot. Probably that'll work for a day or two. But in the meantime, hey, if I send out a tweet from the office to say that there's no call, hello, there's no call. You got to deal with it until some money come in. In the meantime, hey, I made a decision. I'm not stressing over this year. Not at all. If it's off, it's off. I'm not going to try to get something on and put myself through nothing. It's a whole new season. This is 2018. Oh my goodness, how wonderful is that? So I would like for you all to be free, totally sovereign this year. So don't stress over a doggone thing. If by chance you don't have it, hey, my grandma used to say you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip because the turnip don't have no blood. So therefore, if we don't have it, we're not stressing over it. We'll just take some time off. How about that? And I feel good about it because that gave me some extra time to just get caught up on some things that I need to get caught up on, like reading. Yes, indeed.
That ain't going to happen. I was too bored.
How are you?
I am fantastic.
Wow. Welcome. Welcome to 2018.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
But yeah, that is not going to happen. Even if I got to send you down a hot spot, I'm not going to be bored for another week.
Well, we'll see, Smarty. Right now, it's on, and it's beeping green, so we'll see what happens. I pray that it stay on. So I took my phone over to Best Buy to see if I could get a hot spot going. And praise the Lord, we're on right now. But hey, bills got to be paid, and they don't care about turning your stuff off. So if it's off, it's off. Hey, all right. I decided this is a whole new year. I'm not going through. Hey, we got a 5th year anniversary on the 2nd. Yesterday. How about that? Yesterday was 5 years that we started this call. So praise be to God. We are excited to go into a 5th year. Oh, my goodness. I wonder how many people learned anything other that we have discussed over the years. Because, we started on the 2nd of January. I actually started on this call, not the other one, but this call, the 2nd of January 2014. So it's been 4 years on this call and 5 altogether. Praise the Lord. Well, 4 years and 8 months. Anyway, praise be to God. We are here. We are happy. We are excited to be on the Real Truth Call. So, starting Monday, we will have new codes. The new code for the callers, write this down. Your new code will be, you got a pen? 899-988. Make it as easy as possible for you. Same number, different code, 899-988#. That's going to be your new number. And then I will give the host codes out to whom I want to have them. And not everybody else that just decided they want to go all willy-nilly and give them out. So, 899-988. That is our other backup number. That's going to be your new code. Okay? Callers, praise be to God. Well, let's go ahead and get started because Jared has stepped in the room. He has some exciting technology to talk to us about, and I know you guys are excited to hear about it as well. So, Jared, how are you? Let me see. Yeah, there you are. You can unmute yourself.
I'm doing just fantabulous. How about yourself?
That's a new word. So am I.
That's
Praise
good.
the Lord. So I shared with the callers earlier that we talked on yesterday about you coming in tonight, and we'll see how it leads into tomorrow, and telling us about all this exciting new technology that's on board. That way we can start putting our visions in other directions. So go ahead and get us started.
Okay.
We already prayed in.
Okay. All right. Great. I want to welcome everybody. I know that a lot of people are interested in knowing about the medbed technology. And that technology has been around for quite some time, so it's not some out of the clear blue new technology. It's just been kept from the human race for a very long time. And it's not human technology. It's off-worlder technology. And basically, if you get a better understanding, we will have medical staff, and I guess that's, for a better choice of words, medical or health staff that will counsel each individual about the procedure or the treatment on what it means. Because, if you get an 80-year-old person and that person, you say, well, would you like to be 30 years old again? Well, they've got grandkids, they've got, life, there's a lot of things that have to be weighed and measured and thought about before you do something like that. It's a big decision. And, we've got people that say, we don't care, I'll be the first there to get it done. And say, well, you got to think a minute about what that means. And, as human beings, we're always in a hurry, and we always want to get things now, instantaneous, got to be now. It's like that nowadays people don't cook pudding anymore or make the homemade pudding. They do the instant because it's so much simpler and quicker. And it's the same with different technologies. They want them now. Don't want to know about them. Don't want to be educated about them. But anyway, I'll just take an 80-year-old woman, for instance, and she gets up, and after about 2.5 minutes, she's 30 years old. And she's peeled 50 years off of her life. Well, she's back to being 30 years old. She now can have children again. She could have a whole new family if she wanted to. Because, see, the body leaves a resonance, a vibrational frequency of all the organs, even organs that have been gone, taken away through either radiation or surgery or whatever, damage, arms, limbs, whatever. And so that memory is still there. So it's like if you talk to people that are amputees that have lost appendages, and they sometimes say that they can, it's almost like it's there, but it's not. The atomization process, when the body lays into it, there are algorithms and there is a computer database, and it actually identifies your DNA in your body, and it does a complete internal analysis. And I think the best way to explain that is that when, I'm sure a lot of you have done MRIs, and you get in a big, huge tunnel, and it pulls you in, and it does a resonating scan on your internal organs and functions to see if there's tumors or whatever happening. This is a little bit different. It's similar from the standpoint of scanning, but what it actually does is it shows the internal operation very clearly in a three-dimensional format of live time, where your organs are, how they're functioning. It analyzes your blood, and it also depicts any damage or illness or disease within the body that is not normal. And, of course, any disease is not normal. So the database picks it up, and then it will come back through voice communication. It'll ask you basically, do you want a full reatomization of your body? Or do you just want this one area taken care of? And it'll give you that option. And you just basically say, I want the entire body reatomized. I want my entire body reatomized. So you lay there, you go into a deep sleep. There's no injection. There's no needles or anything. And the reatomizer runs over the body. You have, this involves tachyon particles, tachyon energy, and also plasma energy. The plasma energy, since everything is a vibrational frequency, everything is plasma. Everything is plasma. Mm-hmm. If you wanted, for instance, and we'll talk about this technology that'll be given to the human race, is that if you want, and I'll do a brief example, if you wanted to replicate a banana out of thin air, you're going to have the ability to do that. Again, with a computerized database, and basically asking the computer to whip you up a banana or water that tastes like bananas. It's just up to you. And you'll immediately have it. The soil, the atmosphere, the water, everything is plasma energy. Everything in the universe is plasma energy. It's just done in different form through vibrational frequency. So the idea of the replicator is that whatever you want, you'll get. You want a new set of clothes, you'll have a new set of clothes, all derived and drawn from the plasma energy. And that's how it's reconfigured, molecularly structured and identified through the computer and the database of what you really want. What are you looking for? And so getting back to the med bed, the med bed looks at the body and corrects imperfections. So let's say if you had a DNA flaw, which some of us do, we carry traits, 10% we pick up 10% of what our parents give us. In other words, if we've got some genetic defects, we get 10% of our illnesses come in later in life, whatever, from the parents. 90% is lifestyle. 10% is inherited. So it gives people a good idea of how much more important it is to take care of yourself than to just, run rampant like when we're young. We don't think about any of that, and we're eating everything in sight and lining our arteries up for plaque. You've got, 98% of the American people have plaque situations that they aren't even aware of. So when you're in this medbed, you don't go through any pain, all right? You don't go through gyrations, or it's not like some evil event. And you basically wake up and you want to look in the mirror, and you had white hair at one time. Now it's the color it was when you were in your 20s. Your crepey skin's gone. Your nails, your toenails, your fingernails, your hair, your eyesight, your hearing, your taste, your smell, everything. Now, let's say that you had your thyroid irradiated, which is just absolutely asinine, but that's the allopathic industry. But they irradiated your thyroid. And your thyroid is useless now, and you have to take pills the rest of your life because they killed it, okay? Because, again, it had that ugly word cancer. So what the reatomization does is it revitalizes and returns that organ back to a healthy state, a younger state, okay? And let's say that you had your gallbladder removed, which a lot of people do, which is another stupid thing. And so the gallbladder's gone. And as a lot of doctors say, well, your liver will take over and everything will be fine. Well, that's not usually the case. It causes other problems in the body later on. But when you go through the reatomization process, the gallbladder is regenerated. All right? I think the best way to explain it is without being a scientist, which I'm not, and you look at it from the standpoint of saying, okay, so my gallbladder is regenerated, and it's brought back to life. Our bodies have a healing process, and we take it for granted. We don't really think much about it. But, you slice a cut, and over time it heals. It forms scar tissue in some cases, and then, you'll still have a mark, but you heal. Now, the liver, people say, well, the liver is the only organ in the body that regenerates itself. That's not really true. It's at a much higher speed. You can cut half the liver out, and it'll grow back a new, the rest will grow back. It's pretty much if our immune systems, literally, were free to do what they were designed to do, which means to keep us a lot younger and to keep us a lot healthier. But the problem is that the allopathic system and the corruption on the planet that basically portray the fact of saying, well, you got to take this pill for this, you got to take this pill for that, and you got to take this pill for that, and you got to take this pill for that. And because of those pills or foreign entities being introduced into your organic body, the side effects take place. Those side effects are bleeding and nausea and diarrhea and constipation and, death in a lot of instances, in severe cases. So when you're looking at all of those things and you start to realize it says, well, my immune system is attacking those chemicals, because they're foreign substances. So your immune system, as time goes by, is constantly being affronted and attacked. So it never has time to renew your teeth, to renew your skin, to renew your hair, your eyesight. So your body slowly but surely deteriorates and becomes compromised. Your immune system is so compromised that it cannot recover. It is fighting constant abnormalities that you have been told to introduce into your body on a continual basis. The fear factor is played in there by saying, well, Mrs. Johnson, you have to take this pill because if you don't, this will happen. So you say, well, then I better take this pill. Well, you're going to have side effects, but they should be okay. Well, because of the side effects of that pill, Mrs. Johnson, we had to bring you back in, and we have to give you another pill because it's damaged this area here by taking that pill. So we have to give you another pill. And I'm sure a lot of you understand it continues that way. And you're a dollar sign, so you know that in the current system. And you're kept alive artificially. Actually, the life expectancy rate in our country has dropped. Okay? It hasn't gone up, it's dropped. It's gone down. And with all of these so-called wonder pharmaceuticals. Now, with the MedBed, your body is healthy and new again, but your mind isn't because you've lived those years, and you will be counseled on becoming much more aware of naturopathic, Ayurvedic, herbology, different crystallology, the different applications of how you can keep yourself healthy naturally, where you aren't taking pills. As far as these pharmaceuticals are concerned, you're taking organic systems and putting them into your body and keep your body healthy. Because after the bed, do you want to go into the same habits? Do you want to go through all that again? Period. Because you can't say, okay, well, I'm now 30, 25, 40, whatever, but I've changed my mind. I want to go back to the age I was. And that won't happen. It's a permanent decision. Period. You can go back, but you can't go forward. In other words, you can't get older. So that's where the MedBed plays in role. Now, people ask, how soon can that be available? Well, I'm sure all of you know on this call that there are forces out there, even hidden. We're not talking about the big ones because they're being taken down, but we're talking about the mini ones that are in towns and cities and different villages across America that are not good people. They're not good. They're miniature versions of D.C. And so what happens is that they try to stop you and that do bad things. So we have to be very covert on the deployment of the MedBeds. You just can't go out there and start putting them out there like suckers. You know, here's a lollipop, have a good day. And we have to have crews, and we have to have manufacturing, high-level security manufacturing facilities with an actual clean line of assembly, which means it's totally medicinal clean room to put the parts together and to get them working. You know, we have plans for an infrastructure that we put together over the years to introduce the technology to, and there's a lot of people, obviously. Everybody knows somebody, loved one or a friend that could really use it like yesterday. And the whole idea of that is to get to the serious, the ones that are really bad, like, you know, you've got four-stage cancer, you're going to die in 2 weeks, to people that, you know, have severe forms of diabetes. We've got a long list of people that we have to tend to, but we have to do it securely and safely. And so we've put together a plan in order to carry that out and to get to as many people as we can so that we can actually go to certain areas on the planet and then bring people to a certain area and start affecting the treatments for people, and to have enough units so that we can do many people at one time. But you imagine that if it was a publicized situation, we would be inundated and overwhelmed and basically trampled on and probably killed with the frenzy, the feeding frenzy of the human race wanting to be fixed. And unfortunately, you know, that's human nature, and that's the way it works, and we understand that. So it's not a bad thing. It's just that this is how humanity is, and they want it, and they want it now, and they'll do anything to get it. It'd be nice if everybody was benevolent acting and said, well, that, you know, we love each other and everything's wonderful, and we'll take our time with this and help in any way we can help. There's a lot of talented people that have so much to offer. And obviously we call on the universe and Creator to bring those people forward so that we can get things, understood, let's put it that way. And being secure is so important. I don't think a lot of people understand that, one word let out the wrong way can cause a lot of attention. And, you're dealing with organizations and stuff that would prefer not to have this technology out there, and that's why it's been kept from the human race. Now, my attitude, and along with others, is that the human race should not have to worry about disease. Should not have, you lose a limb, you get a new one. It's no big deal, okay? If an organ malfunctions, you get a new one. It's re-atomized. It's not, you don't slice into somebody and yank something out and suture it back up. And I think that the human race should be financially set for the rest of their lives, no disease, so those factors are history. They're totally removed, and that's coming because people won't have to worry about it. They won't have to be constantly stressed out about health, not only health, but their financial condition and what are they going to do, and how are they going to eat, and how are they going to pay their bills. And, it's a constant effort to exist and a pleasant attitude to be happy. Believe me, I know that. I've been on both sides of the fence several times. So, when we look at these technologies, for instance, on the med bed, and this is my game plan. And this is long term, obviously. It's not going to happen in a couple of months. But just like people have, I'll say most people have a refrigerator in their house. It's no big deal. That's how I want a med bed in everybody's house. I want to be able to, the person has a med bed, it's in there, they have a room in their house, which is a med room, and their med bed's in there. And that's it. And if they need the med bed, they go in there and they use the med bed. There's no doctors or anything. They don't need them, And no matter how many of the oligarchs would like to think that the human race is a bunch of useless eaters and they don't mean anything and they're all garbage, it's just manure. Because I think that the human race has a high level of intelligence and consciousness that can make a lot of miracles happen. So. But that's our long-term goal, is that every dwelling has a med bed. Eventually, that's the way it's going to be. Obviously, people have said, well, what if I'm doing something, I fall, or, I cut myself really bad, or I break a bone, and I can't get up. I break my bone in my leg or my ankle or something, or I'm knocked unconscious. I said, well, there's still going to be naturopathic type of doctors around that that will be able to help people in certain situations. But we're not going to have a conventional hospital type of structure where you go in and you're worried about dying when you go in there. In this country alone, the third leading cause of death is hospital stays, is people going into the hospital. Some of them for just regular, normal procedures. So, and then the cost factor. There's so many stress factors put on the human race that it's amazing that we've survived this far. So the med bed, that's the goal with that, is to eventually have one in everybody's dwelling on the planet. Now, the replicator, some of you might look at this.
Garrett, before you get into that, can I ask you some questions concerning the med beds before you start on the next process, the replicator?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So these med beds, are those the exact same thing that we've been that have been shared with us for years about the light chambers? Are those the same thing? Or is there a difference?
No, there's a couple things that the technologies.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about the crystalline chambers.
Mm-hmm.
And those are for the carbon-based elements in our physical forms to be transferred to crystalline base. That takes a minimum of 3 days plus to have that transformation.
Okay.
So those are called crystalline light chambers.
Now, are those the ones that come with mentors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the med beds don't come with a mentor. They come prior to the light chambers because obviously we have to get our body to a position where we can, of vibrational frequencies, where we can get into the crystalline light chambers. So the med beds come first.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the med bed the med bed's a technology, and the crystalline light chambers are technologies too, but they serve different purposes. We are not going to be carbon-based physical forms when all this is said and done. And obviously, when you take that kind of step, you go into the chamber and you make that metamorphosis. You have a mentor before you even go in the chamber that's going to help you comprehend and adjust to that transition.
Right.
And a lot of us are going to have a lot of questions that those that are awake enough are going to have a lot of questions. And there's no race. You know, it's not like everybody's in a race and I'm better than you and I'll get there before you do. It's just everybody in their own time. Some people will be ready. Others will take a little bit longer to comprehend and understand and feel secure enough to go ahead and get in a crystal light chamber. They do have another technology. This one is thousands of years old. It is a chamber that, let's say someone dies. Okay, normally they're dead and that's it, and their spirit leaves, and they cross over to the etheric realm, and that's where we mostly live and exist anyway, as in the soul form, the spirit form of the etherics. So, and what we do is that we have a physical body that ends, and we leave the body. I call it a spacesuit. And so you leave the body, and then you spend most of our time anyway is spent in the etheric existence. Some people call it the ethers, however you want to tab it. But this chamber, within a certain period of time, and you can't wait, like years, but within a few hours after the person has expired, this chamber can revitalize and bring the body back with that spirit.
That's that sarcophagus.
Yeah.
And it also heals as you go, like if somebody got, just say for an example, shot up or something at that particular time, and then they were put in that sarcophagus, then they could, it would heal their body and then bring them back alive.
Yes.
That's that technology. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And if people understand that we have a healing process that's magnificent, and all creatures do on Earth, as a matter of fact, all bipeds have the accelerated healing process. Most do, not the ones with the biomechanical bodies, but basically what you can do is you can accelerate that process to such a level where all the damage has been reversed. That's it, period.
Okay.
And if you have tissue and it's not necromized, it's not, like a vampirish type state, it can be revitalized back to new healthy tissue. You can take a 90-year-old woman or man who's on their deathbed, and they can literally go into the med bed and come out at 30 years old. I mean, it's not a big deal. Folks, you will begin to understand, and some of it's a little hard to accept the fact that we've been kept in the dark so long, and we've lost so many loved ones and experienced so many things through so many lifetimes, that this is ending, that we will not have this secrecy kept from us anymore, and it'll be an everyday occurrence. You got to picture that in your minds, because that's the truth. It's like for like the replicator, it's snowing out, and you never thought about getting a new coat, scarf, or gloves, or anything, or shoes, or anything. And then you find out, you ask the system, what's the temperature outside, what's the conditions. And then you say, well, let's see, what are the new styles for winter wear for whatever the year is? And the database on the computer is full of everything, and it's constantly updated. And it will scan, it'll show you all of the styles, and it will scan your body, and it'll automatically replicate everything that you've asked for, and it will fit you better. It's almost like it's tailored just for your body. It will fit you so well that you'll go, wow, this is phenomenal, right? And it'll be there within seconds. It'll materialize.
Okay.
It's no different than, people say, well, what about food? Food's no different. It's pulled out of the plasma energy. It's molecularly restructured into whatever you want. It tastes just as good as the thing out of the ground. It's not synthetic tasting or anything. Now, there'll be some people that want organic garden and that type of thing, and that'll be mixed in. But what will it do? People have asked me, well, what will it do for the planet? Well, picture this. We won't have to take up so much land producing food crop for the human race. The land will be able to stay healthy. Other life forms will be able to use the land. We won't have to worry about drought. That'll be gone. Drought will be gone. The deserts will be turned into green oases. So all the deserts of planet Earth, and this is in the works, will be turned into greenery. Trees and forests and water areas pumped up from underground aquifers. And I'll put it this way. To give you an idea, Earth, oceans are 70% of the Earth's surface ocean. But if you went underneath the surface of the planet, there's more underground water underneath the surface of the planet than on top of the surface. Okay? It's no different than looking at an iceberg, and you think, wow, that's a big piece of ice. The majority of that iceberg is underwater, say. So it's kind of deceptive. So it's the same thing with the water underneath the Earth. There's just massive underground oceans. So this idea that we're running out of water is a big, fat lie. It's a lie. It's to make the human race, again, fear and worry that we're running out of water, or we're running out of food, or we're running out of this, or we have lack of that, or you've got to conserve this, or you've got to conserve that. It's all that slave mentality of keeping people in fear, living in fear constantly, whether it's financial or physical or whatever. And the day is coming, and of course it'll take a while. We have point-to-point transportation, site to site. Okay. What that means is, and this is today. This technology is here now. So, let's say you're in one of your cities. You live in a city, or you drive into the city, and you're downtown, and you want to do something or go someplace, and you'll go into a plexiglass type of unit, and you'll have a holographic board, and you'll punch it up, and you say you want to go, I don't know, 20 blocks over or something like that to such and such a place, and it'll be on the data map, and you'll push it, and boom, you'll be there within seconds. You won't have to walk. You won't have to be in a hurry. You won't have to cross the streets or anything like that. Now, there's another technology. It was actually reverse engineered a long time ago. And it's a anti-gravitic power. All right? And what it does is it bends light. It manipulates light, and it actually controls gravity to a certain extent, manipulates gravity and light, bends light. So these devices are existing today down in the southeast in an area where several have been manufactured. They've been around since 2008, 2009 in this location. And again, another thing that's been kept from the human race. But I will tell you that the automobile industry is over. Gas consumption and oil is over. The oil industry is done. No matter what you're seeing out there, no matter what the Goomba, the spooky people are trying to tell you out there on the news stations, it's over. It's history. All right. There's a reality that's going to surface from this fantasy that they keep painting for everybody. And so the anti-gravitic scooter, for instance, it looks like a futuristic type of scooter, but doesn't have tires. Okay? And anywhere on planet Earth that you want to go, you can get there within 15 minutes anywhere on the planet. So you get there 5 minutes, you get there in 10 seconds. But within that 15-minute radius of time, you could go anywhere on planet Earth. You can also travel anywhere in the solar system or the galaxy within seconds, taking up light years. So you can literally go 65 light years in 45 minutes. And I might be wrong on that. It might be 65,000 light years. And for some people, it's inconceivable to know that we've got that kind of technology that's been kept from us, but we do. Okay? And this doesn't pollute. And you're not going to smash into somebody when you're traveling. And you don't have a G-force, because the point is that you're in a unit that isn't really moving, but the space around it is moving. That's when you go into the hyperquantum physics. So you're traveling in a time sequence. So people say, well, that's like a time machine. In a way, you're literally jumping through time. If you've ever seen some of these pictures or videos of ships, of stellar ships, blinking in and out. They appear and they're gone. Flash of light.
Yep, love it.
That's because they are time traveling. They're using the propulsion system to manipulate gravity and bend light. And so what they do is that you go on the computer and you say, computer, take me to Paris. We're going to have dinner at such and such a place. You might be in Podunk, New Jersey, and you and your wife or your husband or whoever might want to go to dinner in Paris. So you get into an anti-gravitic scooter, and you tell the scooter where you want to go. In less than 15 minutes, you're there. Boom. 5 minutes. Roughly, you could be in Paris from Jersey in 5 minutes. And you have dinner, and you walk the Champs-Elysees, and you enjoy yourself, and walk along the river and have a good time, and then you get back in your nav scooter, and boom, you're back home. Don't have to pack bags or anything. We will not have airplanes. They will become obsolete. That's why all the airlines are trying to become more luxurious and bigger and more accommodating and blah, 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 blah. Okay? TSA will dissolve and be gone. There won't be a need for these massive airports, really, only for commercial purposes for the anti-gravitic units to come in and load up and then leave, basically. Central loading and receiving and distribution centers. So when you realize the life you are in now, all right, the way you're living now is going to be, it's going to rapidly dissipate from where you're going to be even in 5 years. So once these things take off, and obviously we're going to need a lot of people who can do things. I always believe in living humble's the best way, because you've got people with so many skills, so many talents, so many just phenomenal abilities that will step up to the plate and say, hey, I'm working for humanity now. I'm not working for a big-ass corporation that burns me out after 30 years and then spits me out and pays me 80% of what I'm worth, while I rot and deteriorate and go to hospitals and get medicated. That's not a life. Because eventually, in most cases, if you make it that far right today, that's what happens. You cannot avoid it, following the allopathic way. So all of the things that have burdened humanity. We've got the anti-gravitics. The anti-gravitic, that energy source will be used for all kinds of things. How do you think they moved massive laser-cut, several-ton stones up mountains, through ravines and rivers and everything to build the pyramids? All right? And people, they depict all these pictures of thousands of slaves on roller logs and platforms that they moved all of these rocks and everything up on these pyramids. That's a fairy tale that they hope that the human race believes. Because these technologies, a lot of these technologies have been around for a long time because we didn't carry them. Off-worlders did. The sky gods, they came down on shimmering layers of light, teleportation devices. The humans at the time thought they were some kind of gods because they had all this technology. Mm-hmm. Like some of the movies you see, that the indigenous life forms of the population of the planet, and they're not as advanced, and they see this and they start worshiping these things. And so, unfortunately, the off-worlders start liking it, and then they encourage it, which I just don't agree with. But other things that come into play is that, so you have replicators. You've taken care of the starvation problem on the planet. All right? We've got 1 billion human beings starving to death on planet Earth. Right? In all intents and purposes, about 1 billion human beings starving to death on planet Earth. They defecate and urinate in a waterway area because they don't have the proper facilities. And then they also have to drink that same water because they have no other water source. Now, you got to picture that. Okay?
It's painful.
No matter what position you're in right now, your fellow brothers and sisters are experiencing in different countries that type of life. There's no roof over their heads. Some of them dirt floors. You got 30 people in a 10-by-10 room, and never really knowing if they're going to eat the next day. That's inexcusable for us as a people of planet Earth. Mm-hmm. We've turned a corner, which many times we've had this opportunity, and we have not been able to turn that corner as a civilization. But this time we've turned the corner. And this is when everybody has to be so careful on what they see and what they're being shown, because there's a lot of trickery going on. And a lot of times we've fallen through the trickery and we've lost our journey, and we've been thrown back. The monetary shift took place in 2001. We tried it again before that in 1963. And we weren't successful because things took place. Weren't ready, let's put it that way. So these different technologies that take place. It's like, let's put it this way: you want a car. Let's look at cars, for instance, manufactured on the planet. Let's just take the U.S. There are, and to see if any of you just kind of understand why this is happening. The automobile industry manufactures more cars than they can sell. In fact, during the end of every year, there's more cars than they've sold still available. So what they do is they take all those cars, they put them in shipping containers, they ship them out of America, and they store them in different empty land areas that they buy up, and they sit and park them there. And those units sit and rot, fall apart. They do this every year. They do it every year.
Airplanes, buses, also.
Yeah, so we've asked them, why don't you just, for people that could use the transportation, why don't you just sell it to them for like $1,500?
Right.
$2,500 on all these people that could have reliable transportation. We can't do that. Why not? Well, if the human race found out that we had all these vehicles and we couldn't sell them and we were putting them in different places and letting them rot, they'd get upset with us, and then we'd have to lay off a bunch of them, and we wouldn't be able to keep them employed. And then we would have an anarchy on our hands with all these pissed off people. So we have to hide it that way. So I say, you intentionally overproduce several times over so you can keep people employed. And bottom line, that's what they said, yeah. So we're exhausting
we already know about it, Jared. The car graveyards, we talk about it several times on this call. You know, it's obvious. There's so many people in the masses that know about that.
Yeah.
The graveyards.
But see, they won't, because our push has been sell it to people. Sell them as used vehicles, $2,500, $1,500, whatever. They're sitting there rotten. Doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of people out there that could use a brand new BMW.
Cut the price on the ones they are selling.
Oh, but they can't do that. No, they can't do that.
No, because they rather keep you broke, busted, and disgusted.
They want you to pay for the cars they don't sell.
Yes.
So they inflate the price of the cars they do sell to compensate for the cars they don't sell, which is the majority of the cars they manufacture.
That's right.
And it's the same, like you said, with a lot of other things as well. But the positive things are the replicators will eliminate all that. Like I said, the automobile industry is history. And you'll have companies, you'll be replicating anti-gravitic devices. Period. We'll have replicators. People can still garden and, grow organics and stuff like that. Now, we have a technology, and this is existing today. It takes a while to get it set up. But within a few weeks, all the oceans would be clean and clear of all pollution and debris. All of the atmosphere cleared and cleaned. All the soils, the trees, everything purified and cleansed within weeks. I've witnessed the technology. It is absolutely unbelievable. It's just phenomenal. People say, why don't we have it? Well, everybody on this call is awake. They know it's because there's people that have infiltrated every aspect of society. When you're trying to do certain things and you're trying to get good things done, they block you. Okay? You got municipalities. You've got land laws and codes and all kinds of regulations. It's just on and on and on. And you got to follow that until we clear all that out. We got to clean all that up and out. Period. And so that, here in this country, for the American people and for our brothers and sisters across the planet, is that we have a clean society. A clean society means is that people know what's going on, right? They aren't overburdened, and the planet's not overpopulated. And people say, what are we going to do about overpopulation? You don't have to worry about overpopulation because there'll be massive numbers of humans will be getting off planet and colonizing other planets. Mm-hmm. Now, on the Disclosure Project that's supposedly supposed to kick in the high gear here very shortly, to let the human race know exactly what's going on with the space fleets out there in the solar system and the galaxy and all the other things that have been taking place, is that the human race is now informed and aware. The mentors are going to tell the truth. They're going to tell the human that they're mentoring who they are, where they came from, what they're about, how they were put together, the whole history of the human being. Mm-hmm. People say, well, human isn't a good word for us because all human means is colors of man. Well, it's all right. We're all different colors. I'm surprised some of us aren't pink and purple.
More.
Let's just put it this way. Bright neon pink would be a cool color. It'd be hard to match clothes with it, but it'd be a neat color. Mm-hmm. When you look at all the factors in our lives, what is one of the biggest, all right, as we get older? Health. It's health. Worrying about diseases. Everybody today knows somebody with some form of cancer. It's a family member or someone that you know or someone that you know knows somebody. That's all gone. That's all gone. It's all eliminated. People don't have to worry about diseases, growing old, at least those who don't want to grow old. That's, because some people that we've talked with through research, we've asked people in old folks' homes. Some people that have been just left there and abandoned. Some of them in their 80s, some of them in their early 90s, some of them in their mid-70s, late 70s. And we've asked them, if you could turn back the hands of time and you could be young again, would you be young again? And it's amazing how many say no.
Well, that's because they don't have a clear comprehension of what, life would be like. They think about what they've been through, and they just want to go. They don't have vision of what is, what it can be. They don't have that.
Yeah, and, some of the women especially would say, I've lived my life. I've had a good life. And, I says, well, you would be young again. They say, I'm not interested in doing another life. I said, well, it wouldn't be the same life you had. You could do whatever you wanted because you wouldn't have disease anymore and you wouldn't have to worry about becoming decrepit or anything like that. He says, no, I'm pretty satisfied. I'm ready to go. And some people are that way. It's not about living the life over again. It's just that they're done. They've had their tour and they're done. Now others, show me the bed. I've had others tell me, show me the bed. Show me the bed. I'll take it in a New York minute. Absolutely. I don't need to be indoctrinated. I don't need to be educated. Just give me that bed. I'll be there in a New York minute.
So will that med bed then be able to expand the lifespan up 1,000 years plus, or what is it? Can you expand that lifespan?
There's one.
Or would that have to be the light chamber that does that?
Well, there's one thing that hasn't been fixed, and that's the human body can exist for about 1,000 years.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. The problem is that the brain has a tendency not to like 1,000 years, and it starts misfiring. And so you keep the body young and the organs except the brain.
Mm.
So you get on a touchy threshold when you start hitting about 980 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how many people want to live that long. I'm sure there's some that would like to be just, say I've lived 1,000 years. But You can live to be 900. You can reverse the aging for as long as you want. It will not make the brain young. Okay? Now, here's where AI comes into play. AI, under controlled circumstances, with fail-safes in place, is okay. But when you allow AI to take over everything, it's like Yaldabaoth. It's like it's like the entity that's strangling Mother Earth right now. That the tentacles are being cut off and it's being removed. But like Yaldabaoth, this artificial intelligence has infiltrated many universes, and it makes the biological elements become obsolete, and it destroys them and replaces it with that. The seduction of technology. The seduction of technology is what its game is, and so when it comes in, and it's in our galaxy, it's in our solar system. That's what's being routed. So when people start talking about downloading, now some of this is going to come into play, but under controlled circumstances, or it won't be done. So uploading the mind essence to a machine has already been done. They just haven't, brought it out to public eye. But downloading the mind to a machine, from a human to a machine, has already been done. So then when you start playing God, which is not our function. Our function is to create, to a certain extent, under the guidance of the living God. So when we have, it's a very careful process that we're being guided through for the technology, because as you well know, technology seduces many. As the generations keep pumping out, more and more get seduced into the technology. More and more are controlled, watched, herded like cattle and sheep. So the point is that we will use AI for certain things to allow us to live longer, allow us to be healthier, happier, and that'll be it. That's it. It won't get to a point where we're machines and all we are in essence stored inside a cybernetic suit. Now, there are some off-worlders that already have done that for trillions of years. They store that live here, yes, absolutely,
and control this planet,
and run the governments, absolutely.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Yes, and that's the problem we have right now. How do we get rid of these entities?
Once the human race becomes fully conscious, there won't be any hiding place for any of these off-worlders that live amongst us. There won't be any hiding anymore.
Because we'll be able to see them with our bare eyes in whatever form that they try to hide in, because they won't be able to hold that vibration, right?
That's exactly right. That's absolutely right. They will no longer be able to deceive human beings. They won't be able to deceive them anymore. So the vibrational frequency increases for the human race, which then allows the human race to be able to see the vibrational frequencies of these different beings and who they really are. Same with the reptilians. It's the same. You look at Queen Elizabeth, she's a white reptilian. She's one of the elite families. People that we've talked with have been in person, have witnessed her shapeshift into a white reptilian.
Why is it that she keep dying and coming back? Are they putting her in the sarcophagus?
Yeah.
Is that why she keeps coming back?
Here's an example for you. Okay. You have when they were in complete control of the planet, they had all these facilities that replicated drones or clones for anybody they wanted.
Right.
So if you got somebody that dies, they replace them with a clone. The clones have handlers.
Right.
You know, you look in that cesspool there in D.C., and you see how many of those people are clones. There's a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
And they're being
it was
controlled.
up to it was only 65 real humans there for up until 2014. I don't know how many of them have been replaced by now.
Yeah, and then their cloning facilities have all been shut down.
Mhm.
I maybe have one or two left. I'm not sure, but
they got one out at Camp David, and I'm not sure where the other one is. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an underground city there called Shangri-La. They changed the name years ago. But, you know, the human race has been so bamboozled and so lied to and so dumbed down for so very long. And why is that done, people say? Why is that done to us? Why has that been done to us? Well, it's because they fear the human race and its true place in the universe. They fear it. So people say, well, why do they keep picking on us? We've talked to people who have been abducted several times, and family members have been abducted several times, and they've been experimented on, and they've devices implanted in them, and well, they're doing genetic harvesting. See, and the different governments have made agreements with different groups of off-worlders to, look, you let us take this many humans, and we'll exchange it for this type of technology. So the government say, okay, that's fine with us. All right, we'll keep it under wraps, and the main populace won't know. They won't be aware of it. Okay, great, good deal. All right. Now there's some off-worlders that feed off of the endocrine system of humans. Mm-hmm. They melt down the bodies, and they, like a straw in a milkshake, they drink the melted down system of the human body to sustain themselves. Okay. That location, which we've talked to people who have been there, under the facility, under the at Hartsfield International Airport in Atlanta. Huge underground facility there. Huge. That's a Luciferian location.
Roger that.
A lot of people would understand that. But you know, it's time for humanity to wake up, and some people won't like it, and others will just embrace it. And everybody on this call is awake, you know, talented, got a lot of skills. I mean, you can sense it and feel it, chomping at the bit to get busy and start really doing things, not really afraid to roll up their sleeves. And we're going to need literally millions of people to affect the restructuring, the reconstruction of planet Earth. I mean, massive employment beyond anyone's imagination, right? Not only that, you've got to deal with the old infrastructure until it's totally dismantled. You know, they're doing that now in D.C., but you've got your towns, your villages, your cities, it's just everywhere. It's,
the ones I call the gatekeepers, because they have been embedded in, you know, they're the ones that's helping to maintain the slavery of the people, because you tell them this, oh, no. You know, they are in total denial and will hold that gate closed to keep you from going through it, just because they don't understand that they need to walk through it too. And they don't want to hear it.
Absolutely. So, you know, and I'm sure there's a lot of people on this call that have come across there are certain people in their communities that they know are corrupt. They're just sitting there waiting for the time where the transition starts happening within their own communities. It's like I've shared with people over the past 36 years that if you're going to do a project, you start writing down these ideas and these different projects. It's great. It's a great way to start your ledger on projects, but you're going to find out that you're going to pick one in your community and you're going to work on it. And that's going to be a measuring stick for all of the other projects that you have dreamt about doing for the human race and for your community. Because the fact is that you're going to run into situations that you don't expect at all. And you're going to start understanding that, wow, it's going to take me a lot longer than I thought to put this infrastructure in place and to get these things done. And at the same time, I got to deal with all this corruption.
Absolutely. Okay? You are 100%, because I experience that here right now.
Yeah, and it's let's put it this way. The cards have been dealt. The forces of heaven are here, which is us, and we have selected this time to be here at this very moment. Have we suffered? Yes. Have we gone through a lot of challenge? Yes. Have we had doubts? Yes. Do we have doubts now? Yes. But we're here, and we're forging ahead. And doesn't it make sense that what we all collectively could be doing is putting together what we're going to do after this deluge of wealth hits us? But before it hits us, how are we going to handle it? How are we going to manage it? What are we going to do to protect ourselves? All of these things are going to become crucial elements that you can't do. You heard people say, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. You won't be able to do that because it'll be there before you know it, and you'll say, well, there's the bridge. What do we do now? Okay? So you got to think about security for your family, for yourself. You got to think about your profile in your community. You got to think about all kinds of avenues that you have to protect, that you have to take a good interest in, and then you have to come across human resources. You got to hire people you trust. You know, just because they got great credentials doesn't mean you trust them. You got to learn how to figure out how to trust people, and then you got to learn, who am I going to hire to manage my money? How am I going to do this? How many companies do I need? How many organizations? Because we're going to get away from companies. We're going to go to organizations. We're going to go to established business organizations and hiring people out the yin-yang. How are you going to do that? How are you going to relocate families? How are you going to get the right personnel there? You know, there's so much involved with just one project, just one, okay? You know, how many people are you going to need to hire? How many shifts you're going to have working? All right? You're not going to get all those people, and 9 times out of 10 from the local community. You're just not going to do it unless you're in a major metropolitan area. How are you going to employ security measures? How are you going to keep things running efficiently and effectively? You know, how are you going to get distribution channels up and running? You know, how are you going to keep your quality control and quality assurance running at a high level? How are you going to do all this stuff before you even have broken ground for the project? See? And everybody's been so consumed with one thing.
Not everybody.
Not everybody, but a lot of people have been consumed with the one thing, the currency revaluation, which the bad guys love that because they're trying to push their RV. And so you've got all this stuff going on, and you've got everybody distracted when they would be much better off concentrating, okay, man, we got to get a game plan together, guys. This is on the horizon. It's going to be coming here before we know it. It's going to be in our laps, and we aren't prepared. And you're not going to do it by setting up a website and having people congregate at a website online. You can't do it that way. It's not going to work. You got to have community groups getting together and talking with people and start forming your nucleus of a mastermind group within that nucleus. And I know there are some tremendous leaders on this call that have tremendous amount of skills and abilities that have been in all walks of life and all levels of authority that can implement and execute those things like it's a hot knife through butter. But it's getting the right people, as some of you know, and the right synergy and working together in a new paradigm, because this isn't the old way. It's the new way. And it's having the cooperation. I mean, to have an opportunity to open up a manufacturing facility to start manufacturing the med bed. Just for the infrastructure and the security level is humongous. To be able to do that effectively, to make sure that you're safe, your family's safe, and anybody involved with the manufacturing process is safe. So it's not just you, but it's everybody. It has to be blanketed. Okay? On who comes and who goes, who's there and who's not. What are they doing? How are they doing it? You can't discuss it because you draw too much attention. Loose lips sink ships.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I've always used the thing that, Mary sprains her ankle in the morning, and by that night she's in intensive care in a body cast. Okay? Just by people talking. Just by people talking and rumoring. It just happens in humanity. That's what happens. So, that's why WC's call is important, because she does a lot of different communication with a lot of different areas. And the bad guys want everybody distracted. They want them concentrating on the RV. They want them concentrating on it. They want them living on the edge with it all the time and be preoccupied with it so that they can come in behind and do their thing. And you got to understand that there are 2 RVs. There's 2 of them. And it becomes very confusing to a lot of people that don't know that on this planet. There are the bad guys' RV and Global Currency Reset. They have it. They have an infrastructure. They've been working on it for quite some time. And you have the good guys' RV and Global Currency Reset. Okay? There's 2 big, huge differences there. The bad guys is just a repackaged same thing, but it's repackaged. All right? So how do we get ourselves out of this mess? Well, we reset everything and we just create another currency, but it'll be a digital currency that we could eventually control and shut on and off whenever we want. We got them by the short hairs. We've got them all controlled now. We can control all the corporations, everybody, with a flick of a switch. If we want to take their money because we don't like how they're operating or how they're acting, and we take their money overnight and they can't get anything, can't do anything about it. See? So, what I'm addressing is the evil horn of the beast is cryptocurrency. And I'm going to tell you that. And we've been working on it and working on it and working on it and gradualization. And if you understand the beast itself, if you understand how it works, it's very easy to get people sold on it. You've got your blockchain technology. You've got your wallet. All right? You've got no one controls it. The banks aren't in control. It's controlled by individuals. You can make millions of dollars. There's the greed factor playing into society. Man, I can get rich quick. All of those elements that are played in there are there in plain sight. And they know it because they're masterminds at doing it to the public. So you get all these people say, I don't have to worry about the bank. I don't have to do this after that. The Fed, on the dark side, have put together a Fed coin. Unbeknownst to all these people with Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these other cryptocurrencies, have no idea that some of them do. But what's going to happen is that the bad guys are going to come out with the Fed coin. And the Fed coin, they're going to say, look, all of your coins are obsolete, but we will cash in your coins and trade them in for Fed coin. You're more protected. You'll be more secured. You'll be guaranteed to be able to make more money. Boom, boom, boom. We've AI'd all this. The algorithms are in place. We've got full control. You're in great shape. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? So what is everybody going to do? They're all going to cash in their cryptocurrencies for the Fed coin. And the next thing you know, the Fed coin controls everything. It's in governments across the planet, and they control it all. You would have no control over anything. You don't have any tangible material, anything. You don't have silver, you don't have gold. You don't even have paper. They want to destroy cash, currency. They want to get rid of it all, and they want to enslave everybody by making them think, we're bearing gifts. Here you go. This will be great for you. It'll be wonderful. You don't have to worry about anything. Everything will be automatic. Populace is really susceptible to that, and they're following for it now as they build it up to a crescendo effect where everybody starts getting the frenzy. That hasn't happened yet, but once they build it to a frenzy and everybody's trying to jump on it and everybody's trying to sell it to everybody else and they're setting up shop everywhere and all this stuff's going on, and it'll get out of hand, and then it'll deflate.
It's happening now.
It'll deflate.
It's happening now. It's so many are setting up their MLMs and all kinds of things for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin.
Yeah. And what will happen, as everybody on this call knows, they'll come in on a white horse saying, we're going to save you all, okay? This has obviously gotten out of hand. We put together a Fed coin, cryptocurrency, that will save all of you. Cash in all your currencies. You won't lose anything, blah, 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 blah. Just use the Fed coin. It'll be worldwide accepted. And that's their game. That's their game plan. That is their RV. That's their RV. That's their global currency reset over to cryptocurrency. And there's a lot of people fooled because of the greed. Because, man, if I could make $30,000, boy, would that help me. If I could do this, that would really help me out. And so they play the greed factor, and they play desperation factor because they know the populace is in trouble because they've created the trouble and they've created the problems. So they know what better culprits are the actual culprits that have done it and done the damage. Now, the good guys, okay, let's flip the coin. The good guys have an RV and a global currency reset, all right? That's the BRICS, all right? That's the yuan. That's all the different currencies that are regionalizing as we speak across the planet, the Deutschmark, the franc, all the rest of them that are coming regionalized, okay? And I would recommend, I will say this to everybody, if you want, once you have your wealth, before you have your wealth, I'll put it that way, make sure that you find credit unions that are not owned by the dark agenda and put your money in those credit unions, period, until you have a better feeling for the pulse of the atmosphere out there on transparent banks that you'll see arise out of the ashes.
Now, are those the saintly banks under the guidance of Saint Germain?
Yeah, a lot of them are. You have to find state chartered credit unions.
Mm-hmm.
Truly state chartered, not the false ones, but the truly state chartered credit unions. And they operate totally differently, and they aren't owned by the bad guys, period. Your money's a lot safer. Yeah, do you have the reach that you normally would? Not, maybe with your card, yeah. You'd still be acceptable. But people, if they're smart, will start planning to be with credit unions, not the banks, not the big banks, not the big five. They're all corrupt, guys. They're corrupt to the bone, every one of them. Mm-hmm. They've all got toxic derivatives, and by the time that's all exposed on disclosure, they'll all be out of business, period. And we've got debt forgiveness coming up here. The announcement's not far away. For the whole entire planet will be debt-free. Every government will be debt-free. Everybody who owes everybody will be debt-free. Nobody will owe anybody anything. And everybody will be compensated for that as well. Mm-hmm. So the vast amount of wealth is unlimited. So people say, well, I've got this currency, and it's worth, everybody talks about the Zim, and use Zim for example. You got a 100T note. You go in and you negotiate $100 per unit. All right? It's not about the money. It is not about the money. It is about what you are prepared to commit yourself to. What you are prepared to commit yourself to. Nobody else. Not peer pressure or anything, but what you decide looking in the mirror, what you are committing yourself to. Because I don't care. Anybody can debate it with me till they're blue in the face, till the cows come home. But when you go from basically zero to thousands of trillions of dollars, your life, as you know it, is over. Mm-hmm. It's over. And it's never going to get back to the way it was. So the more that you think, it's like these people that have shoe boxes full of Zim. Why? It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. That also dictates and states that, is this person greedy or what? But one person with a 100T note that honestly has some tremendous impactful projects that they want to make sure that not only is the project going to be covered in their lifetime, but those people they have lined up to take their place in case something happens to them. That's another thing. Everybody on this call who is carrying currency, which I would expect most are, you want to make sure that you have lined up at least 2 people that will be able to take your place in case something happens to you. People that you trust, that are on the same page, wavelength as you are, that are informed, that really want to carry on things, period. And the people aren't thinking about those things. A lot of people aren't. Some are, but not a lot. So you got to have an A plan, a B plan, and a C plan.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have those 3 plans in place way before you're monetized. Because when your currency becomes monetized, you don't have time to do any of that because you're going to be so running around. Believe you me, thoughts will be running through your head. It's, within a week you'll take care of your financial needs, lickety-split, buy what you want to buy, get that going, houses, cars, boats, yachts, planes, whatever it is, okay? But you'll find the more that you own, the less you'll use it, okay? That'll happen, I guarantee you. The more you own, the less you'll use it. It'll just become a burden. What the heck am I doing with all this stuff? I hardly ever use it, just because I have it, because I wanted it, so I got it. So there'll be a lot of thought process going on because those who have never really had a lot are going to have a lot, or they're going to have the opportunity to have a lot. So there's so much involved with, and it's a good thing because people became more astute from the fact of saying, you know what, I got to plan this out, man. This thing's getting really close here, and I've got to be prepared for this. And so what would I need to do, right? I'm not a project queen or king. I've never really worked on projects. I've never really hired people. I've never really had to do with municipalities and governments or anything. I've never had to deal with, well, in most cases, crooks on a large scale. I've never had to worry about security. How in the heck am I going to do all this stuff? You write it all down. You say, okay, here's my plan A. I got to get in touch with people like this, this, and this. And so what I usually do is I say, look, financially, most people are strapped. You see, it's free. Go to your local community college or college area and contact the Small Business Association department where you've got a bunch of retired people. You go in there and you talk with them. There's also nonprofit organizations within almost all communities that will help you with projects that you can just go to and say, hey, look, here are my cards. I'm laying them on the table. I am a philanthropist humanitarian. I'm expecting a whole change of a life pattern here for myself, and I need your help because this is what I plan on doing. Can you help me with what areas can you help me with? You have a notepad and you start taking notes or a recorder or whatever and start putting that information together so that you have it. So before you're in there and monetizing your currency, you will be in a situation where you'll say, I feel good because I'm ready. It's like a test. When you were a kid and you had to go do a test, your mom and dad say, have you studied? I got it. I got my homework. I'm ready to go to test. And you feel confident. You say, I'm going to do good on the test because I've studied and I've worked hard to make sure I'm prepared for it. It's no different. It's no different. It's the same thing. So, there's going to be people shaking in their boots because they just never took the time to prepare themselves to set these things up. You hear a lot of people talk about projects. I think that's a wonderful thing. That's a good step in the right direction. But when you really get down to the nitty-gritty, how ready are you? No one's going to do it for you. You've got to go out there and ask for it. And there'll be tons of people that will want to help you. But you got to do it. They're not going to come knocking on your front door. Well, if they find out what you have, you might get some undesirable knocks on the door. But for the most part, it's a good idea. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. Okay, you got time lags, you've got holdups. When to hire people. Who do you want in your core group, in your nucleus, as far as management staff, so on and so forth. Where do you want to live? Do you want to live where you're currently living, or do you want to go out and get a different place and live somewhere else? I mean, all these things play into each other. They all play into each other.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Would you please pause for a second and let them know that I did not tell you to say any of this stuff?
Oh, no, this is coming from me. I haven't been prepped.
Okay. No, I just want to put that out there.
No, I haven't been prepped at all. This is 36 years of my life have been spent with this. So
thank you.
This is all coming. This is pure blood from me.
It's all true.
And so people that it's good that Dr. WC has that knowledge base, and she professes it, which is good. And the more people that understand it and know it, the better, because there is a shortage of people that can get it out there and get it in front of people. No matter if they roll their eyes or shake their heads after you've talked with them, which I've experienced many times through the years, that, people are people. They think a certain way, they believe a certain way, and that's just the way it is. And we aren't out to save people, we're just out to be informants. Inform, educate, It's like, I'll guarantee you walk up to somebody that you don't know and say, guess what? I know where I can get my hands on a technology that can make you 35 years old or 30 years old or 25 years old and a young man again. Most people would look at you and think you were off your rocker. But every once in a while, someone would say, really? Where can I go to get that done? Okay? So, with the different, and then here's another one for you. Okay. Imagine being able to take two pills, and being 25 years old. Wake up the next morning, you're 25.
The red pill or the blue pill?
Yeah, but that technology exists today.
Wow.
Oral consumption of these two pills reverse your aging overnight.
Now, what about the brain? That is the same thing.
The brain, we cannot reatomize the brain yet. Okay? Alzheimer's can be cured. Dementia, Alzheimer's, brain disorders. As long as you don't have a situation where there's something that interferes with the electrical field when you do the reatomization with the brain. So, in other words, your brain, how do I put this? Your mental aptitude, you're 70, and now you're 35. But your experience is still contained in the brain. So you don't lose any of that. Is the brain 70? Pretty much, yeah, it is. Sure it is. It's 70 years old, but the body is 35.
So I read an article that said that that there is kind of like a gel in between those two halves that keeps the not the soul, but it keeps an essence of the soul that allows the brain not to move in different directions, as far as backwards.
There's kind of a fail-safe in there. We know that we can extend the life of the body to 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
The problem you get is degradation of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So after about 1,000 years, the brain, you're pretty much in physical form unless you upload your essence into a biomechanical device. The physical form is shot at that point.
So does that mean the galactic beings that they talk about that have the youth-looking face, but it's so much older, they're elders, does that mean that they have to get a new body altogether, or a fresh body to have a new brain, or, because they say there's technology that can transfer the soul?
Yeah, there is.
So how does that work as far as their body? Well, we know how the body is renewed, but what about the brain? Are they transferring their soul into a new vessel altogether?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you ever hear of walk-ins?
I was getting ready to ask you, are these the walk-ins? Yes.
Okay, so all of you who know what walk-ins are, the people that know on the call that know who walk-ins are, is that's when a soul comes into a body and makes an agreement with the current inhabitant of the body that they can inhabit the body for a period of time. The other soul then leaves who had inhabited the body and goes to the etheric side. Sometimes the soul that's inhabiting the body that the walk-in comes in says, you can take it from here, I am done. And that's their exit. Okay? Other times the walk-in comes in and the soul isn't done, makes an arrangement that the walk-in can stay for a certain period of time, and then they have to leave. So those arrangements have to be agreed upon. So there's been known cases where walk-ins will come in and force their will over the current occupant of the physical body and kick them out of the body without their permission. That is a no-no.
Right.
That's universal law. That's a bad thing. That's not a good thing. That's a karmic hit, big karmic hit.
And most of the time, they don't do anything good when they take their body like that.
Exactly, because their intentions are not benevolent.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have then there are the ones that go through the soul process, and I have not been informed yet. Soul catching machines are all done. They're close to being all done, but the soul catchers basically grab souls from all over the galaxy and deposit them here in this solar system. So, and what happens with that is that we're forced into an inevitable, unrelenting reincarnation forever. And the majority of the time we don't know it, because we're electrified so many times. We're electrified when we hit the tunnel of light, and then when we decide we want to come back, we're electrified again, and then by the time we hit 7, we don't remember. So it usually takes to about the age of 7 in a new body before we forget who we were. Most of us, as children, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, will remember who we were in the past life. Will it be fluid knowledge? No, it'll be broken, but there'll be some areas where we do know. You ask a 3-year-old, do you remember who you were before you were here now? Some of them are pretty smart in their answers. Well, of course I do. I've had a 3-year-old tell me, well, of course I do. I've had 2-year-olds tell me that they died when they were 85 years old, and the year they died, and what they did. So see, here's another thing: we should all remember our past lives. Period. How do you perfect? How do you perfect? How do you perfect?
That's what all the distractions and the programming is geared towards, to make sure that you don't remember, so that you don't know who you are and you can be controlled.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And people there's the argument that says, well, you're supposed to perfect for the Creator, for the God. And well, I understand that. So when you get over and you read the Akashic Records and you understand all that stuff, then you remember, and all your lives come back to you. And the reason that you don't remember your past lives when you come into the next life is because, no, that doesn't make any sense. We should remember all of our past lives, and through the electrification process, we lose our memory of it, and then we keep redundantly repeating things. So you design your life. You pick your family. Not always. But you pick your family, you pick your siblings, and you pick your life and where you're going to be born and all this stuff, and you do all that. and then you've taken on more. Most of us take on more than we can chew when we're on the other side. And we come into this life, and then we forget who we were, and then we're stuck again, right? And we can't rely on our past experience lives, which would be wonderful, which would save us a lot of time. And we say, okay, fine, I remember in this past life, that you imagine the richness of the culture of the human race if everybody remembered their past lives. Now, it wouldn't be always pleasant because we've been everything. We have been everything. We have been murderers. We have been rapists. We have been every color of the rainbow. We have been every size, shape, sex, gender, everything. A whole 9 yards. Oh, all kinds of things throughout thousands and thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of years. So, does it make any sense to anybody that we come down here and when we're wiped, our memory's wiped, we don't remember our past life? That's why some people go, why do I know how to do this? I've never done this before, but it seems like second nature to me now. And you've witnessed that with people or even with yourself. You're doing something, you go, wow. Someone says, how do you know how to do that? I don't know, I just do. And that's, we're made up of several beings, several DNAs. Most of the parts of the Andromedans and the Syrians and the Avians, all of them, we have pieces of their DNA. I mean, it's obvious we're a fascinating civilization. And the bad guys, all they want to do, they get to a point, they say, well, we can't run the planet, we're going to blow it up.
Trifling.
So the point is, they're not going to blow it up.
No. So, Jared, during the time that right before you started, right as soon as you got finished, I guess people might have started calling people, but as soon as you got finished talking about the two different RVs, the call increased by 100, a little bit over 100. So can you kind of go over that one more time about the two RVs or currency exchanges before we go?
This is what is confusing the communities out there so much. They keep thinking that the bad guys are being dealt with, and they don't have any spark left, and blah blah blah, and blah 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 blah. And we got the good guys, and they've put together this new monetary system, and they've been doing it all in front of our faces, and forming it, and doing the whole 9 yards, and making little announcements here and there. So we should have it. We should have this thing right now. What the heck's the holdup? What's going on? Well, here's the confusion, because you've got people talking about one RV and other people thinking it's the RV that's the good RV, and actually it's the bad RV. So you've got them intermeshed and confusing information being spit out there to different, receivers of information that then convey it as messengers to their groups of people. And then everybody gets confused. What the heck's going on here? Well, the bad guy's RV, excuse me, the only thing they can do right now is their fiat system is collapsing. They got nowhere to turn. They've got nowhere to turn. And if you look throughout history on this planet, at least the history you can really dig up, the real history, you find out that any fiat system never lasted. It always collapsed. So the fiat system is collapsing for these guys. Now, they're addicted to power and control. They will not give it up. I don't care what anybody says, they're not going to give it up. The real staunch, committed ones will not give it up. Others have, and others have just been taken away. So what happens is that they say, okay, we got to do something, we got to do it fast, and we need time to do it. So what they've been doing in the background is they've been engineering an RV, a revaluation of currencies. They've also been setting up a global currency reset across the planet. Now, is it a cash system? No, it's not. They don't want a cash system. They want to burn cash to the ground. They don't want anybody having control over anything, period. So how are we going to do that? How the heck are we going to do that? Well, we create a digital, non-existent, non-tangible fiat currency. And we call it a coin. And we start it out slowly and allow people to develop it and open up their shops. So the Bitcoin surfaces, and you've got two inventors that start it, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. I think one of the founders kidnapped or something, and blah, blah, blah. And they allow it. Understand, anything monetarily that is allowed to happen on this planet goes through the bad guys. Used to go through the bad guys, I'll put it that way. Doesn't anymore. So the Bitcoin is then introduced very subtly, very slowly, gradualization again. And you don't hear much about it. You hear it pop up here and there, and then you hear it, you watch things, then it crashes, and people lose a bunch of money, and then somebody somehow hacks something, and then it's all gone, and they're all wiped out. And, well, that's what the codes are for. They're to protect us. That's all garbage, okay? So that's what the wallets hold the codes. So you got your wallet, you got the codes, you get a specific code, you have a specific signature. The specific signature only can be used one time. All right? You can't use that signature more than once. Once you use it, it's expired. You got to do another signature. So all these fail-safes and everything, designed by the bad guys to make the people think that it's theirs. Banks don't have control. No authorities have control. We can create our own safe currency. Okay? So then, but you have to have a greed factor. You've got to put that in the recipe. So we got to get people really, really interested. Well, most of them are desperate anyway. We've shrunk their bank accounts. We've caused the economies to just go down the toilet. And so they're all desperate, and they'll all do anything. They're at that point. So if we can introduce something to them that they can comprehend and that they believe that they're going to get rich off of, or at least make enough money to support themselves, we got something. We got something. They'll forget about the cash as long as they can do this and they feel they're safe and protected. So they keep doing it. They keep developing it. They keep building it, keep building it. Now, all along, while this stuff's growing, they're in the back creating their own coin system like a Bitcoin. But then the government comes in, tells everybody that your coins are no longer valid, but we will take them in on trade, and you'll get the same value with our coins, our Fed coin. That's their game plan. That's the RV. That is it right there. No longer need cash. It's usable anywhere on the planet. You use your card, and you've got your cryptocurrency cards. Now, if you look at things on how they've been setting it up, the smartphones, the SWAT, swinging them through, the RFID chips, the computer retinal identification. First, it's not retinal yet, but it's face identification. Pretty soon they'll come out with retinal identification. So all it does is scan your face or does your retina, and it automatically subtracts the money. You don't have to think twice about it. Okay? Now, their game plan is to do this through technology so everybody gets lazy and they get used to it. But you got to do it through gradualization. You got to have little pieces plugged in there so no one suspects anything, and they all feel safe. They feel secure. They're willing to give up their privacy for security and safeness, which is actually their insecurity has been created by the very beast that's trying to imprison them. So this goes on, and the currency and the greed and everything starts, and they let out these stories. This guy became a multimillionaire overnight with cryptocurrency. You could do the same thing. We're going to set up multi-level marketing with cryptocurrency. Everybody's going to get rich. Everybody's going to be just absolutely set for life. So then it gets on, you get a feeding frenzy, and people start getting crazy and everything. Then it implodes, and then they come in and save the day. That's their game plan. Watch how this is trying to unfold. So what they do is they sit out there, and the people go, and the people are saying, well, there's an RV coming, and we're going to be well off, and everybody's going to be happy, and blah, blah, blah. That's the bad guy's RV is different. The bad guy's RV is a cryptocurrency, which is fiat money, right? That's all it is. It has no intrinsic value at all. So the good guys come in and they say, look, we're going to create our own system. We're going to bypass the corrupt financial system that has kept the planet in a stranglehold forever. Okay? We're tired of having our economies go bust. We're tired of being broke all the time. We're tired of being bullied by the U.S. military. We're going to do our own thing. So the countries on the planet got together several years ago. They say, you know what? Now it's time for us to put together our own financial system. The Western powers, D.C., London, the Vatican, they can go pound sand. We're going to develop our own system that's free and fair for the human race. That's what they've done. That's what they've been doing. So and then, of course, they say, all right, the American military, which has been used, except for the Marines, mostly been used by the dark agenda, and basically used as the bullying police force of the planet. And so they go to Vietnam and they create a war. Anybody knows the history of Vietnam? Tonkin Bay was a lie, created the war. That's all there was to it. And if you look at that time frame and what happened there, and then, of course, they knocked off Kennedy in '63. He wanted to have our own money printed. He wanted a sovereign nation. He wanted all the debt forgiven, and so on and so forth. And so they killed him, and we had a war. So we had the Vietnam War. They devalued the Vietnam currency to the point where it's absolutely trash. Just trashed it. So totally destroyed their value of currency for years and decades, for years. Okay? Now, Vietnam's a very rich, very wealthy as far as commodities and in-ground assets and everything on the planet. But their currency isn't worth diddly and hasn't been for years. So imagine all the accumulated wealth that currency has brought. Okay? Same with the Iraqi dinar. They went in there, created a war, killed 1.6 million Iraqi civilians. That's what the military did. That's the truth. All right? That's not the figures they want the American people to know about. Those are the real figures. All right? Over 7,000 American men and women dumped over into the ocean. Yeah. Over 7,000 American military personnel, bodies were dumped in the ocean. This is the stuff the American people don't know about, for the most part. So you look at that. So they create a war in Iraq to cover up. They're attacking the towers, blowing up the Pentagon wing, which was the newest wing, by the way, which just got being built, which was the White Hat's location for the new computer and overriding system for the new monetary system in 2001. Right? The tower had a data processing center. The field out in Pennsylvania had a data processing center underground where that plane hit and blew it to smithereens. They knew everything where to hit. They knew every place, everywhere, and inside snoops. It sold out everybody. So that put us back 16 years. Only this time we're 2 steps ahead of them, not the other way around anymore. So you look at that from a clear perspective, and you see that you've got Iraq's currency is totally devalued and trashed. The country is blown to smithereens. Their infrastructure is destroyed. They've got land areas where the U.S. military used depleted uranium weaponry, right? And have irradiated the ground out there where it cannot be used for thousands of years. And this is all over Iraq, all over the place. People don't know about that either. Right? So when you realize the damage that the dark agenda has done, which they don't care, it doesn't matter to them, is their mainstay is to control us, enslave us, run everything. That's it. The human race is useless. They could really, but they have to keep them around to service them. That's their attitude. Period. So when you realize and you see the pattern, because the pattern's always been the same, the Philippines War, all the wars have all been the same, created on a lie, so that they could have an excuse to make more money and control more and gain more power and infiltrate every nook and cranny of society. All right? So anything they've touched, they've corrupted. So you have a war. So what? All right? So we get over 50,000 dead soldiers during the Iraqi war. And what did they say? 3,800 or something. It's like the Twin Towers. How many died? 3,700. No, over 30,000 died. And then add about another 40,000 onto that of people who died after its effects and all the debris and pollution that those buildings shot out. And the nuclear fallout that happened, too, because they used cold fusion bombs on the lower levels of the footings of those buildings. In 1993, they wanted to test the footings. This is how long they've been planning it. 1993, they wanted to test the footings, and that's why, if you remember right, in the news back in 93, there was smoke coming from one of the basements of the towers, and someone had lit off charges to weaken the foundation. So, all this stuff to maintain control. That's all it is. Taking our military, using it as a police force to bully countries into submission. If you don't do this, we're going to attack you. And that's basically the bottom line. All right? Iraq had about 6 Scud launchers, old Russian-issue Scud launchers. That was their arsenal of nuclear weaponry. That was it. They really didn't have an army. Crazy. So what happened was guerrilla warfare is what really attacked our forces, is because the people started getting guns and said, this is enough of this stuff. We're being invaded. We got to stop these scoundrels. So it's hit and run. Incendiary devices, bombs on the side of the roads, taking out a lot of our personnel. Truck bombs, all kinds of stuff, ambushes, convoys. So you look at the history, and you look at their pattern. It never changes. Never changes. It's always the same. Right? See, when you lop yourselves together in a huddle like the elite do, and you have incestual relations because they want to keep everything in the family, so they're all related. Cousins get married to cousins, brothers and sisters marry each other. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But the fact of the matter is that they atrophy. They lose their mental capabilities because they become so watered down, and they aren't interacting. They stay secluded. They don't really interact with society. They atrophy, and that's basically what's happened to them in this foray that we're having, this war, this all-out war, World War III, that we've been having with them, and their RV has been meshed with our RV to confuse people. Mm-hmm. And so people believe that when these shills that they put out there that feed gurus a bunch of bogus information, and so the gurus will go out in good faith and try and give that information to people that come to their calls, and then it just keeps redundantly failing, and so the messengers get all of the ridicule because of the fact that they're trying to give information that they believe their sources are legit. And 9 times out of 10, they're not, because very little vetting goes on at all. So what happens is that you get a hodgepodge of information and a lot of confusion. It goes on with people, and the confusion never stops. Well, it's going to happen on this day. It's going to happen on that day. It's going to happen on this day. And more people get more and more frustrated, and they, it's like the boy that crawled and cried wolf one too many times. Yeah, sure, okay, we'll see what happens. And now think about this. If you wanted to separate a unification of the people, and you wanted to keep them separated, because number and power, there's power in numbers. you have a new system that you're trying to impress upon them, and you want to confuse them, and you want to keep them at each other's throats. You want them to get them angry, and you want to get them upset. How do you do that? How do we do that? Well, you just go out there and keep feeding them information that's bogus, and it keeps frustrating them, gets them more and more pissed off and angry, and then you introduce a cryptocurrency system that more and more of them start gravitating towards, and they sell off their currency, and they go into cryptocurrency. Now, that's a strategy. I didn't make that up. That's a strategy. And if you studied them as long as I have, that's what they do. You have to know your enemy. You cannot ignore them. So some of the most brilliant strategists have won wars and battles is because of the fact that they learned their enemy's actions. That's what they do. That's what you do. You learn your enemy. So if you know your enemy, you know what to do. You know how to combat them. So you look at the fact of saying, okay, so what's real and what's not? Cryptocurrency is real. That's their RV. So everybody on this call now knows that, if you didn't before. And you also know their game plan. Benevolent, and loving, and wonderful, and it's all going to save you, and it's going to help you, and you're all going to be well off, and everything's going to be fine. So get into it, because it is the future. I'm sure you've all heard that. It's the future. It's going to be the future. No matter what you like, that's the way it's going to be. That's that dictatorial tone coming in again from the source. The source is the dark agenda, and they want everybody to believe that this is the future. They've even had people staged that claim they've traveled back in time from the future that have claimed that, well, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, is going to be the future of currency, whether you like it or not. Now, that statement right there, whether you like it or not, okay, that statement right there will give you it's a dead giveaway that it's from the dark agenda. That kind of statement, whether you like it or not. So you're the slaves, and you're going to do what we tell you to do. Now, you haven't heard that with the gold standard. You have not heard that, okay? Because let me put it this way. I'll just share this. They don't have a lot of gold. No one will sell it to them, because all they got is fiat currency. That's it, okay? Federal Reserve is broke. They've got fiat currency. They got nothing. The rest of the world is moving away from the fiat currency. They're going to the gold standard. That's a done deal. So America is sitting here, and the American people are sitting here, unbeknownst to them, that their money is quickly becoming worthless. But in the country, it's not. In America, it's not. Still buys everything. Still buys food and gas and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is that the American fiat dollar is dead. It's dying across the planet. More and more countries are dumping it, but they're keeping it in the media silent. They aren't talking about it at all, because that media is controlled by the dark agenda. Therefore, I tell people, get away from the TV set. You want to watch something on TV? Watch the movies. Or go on YouTube and look at YouTube videos or whatever to entertain yourself. Or listen to music. Because the vibrational frequency coming from television is a brainwashing. It's a wave. They've been brainwashing the human race for years and years and years. Television was created to do that back in the 50s, actually late 40s. And then the Americans gave it to the Japanese to manufacture to their heart's content. So it's American technology given to the Japanese. So the fact of the matter is that what we have is we've got a situation where you've got two opposing forces. One finally, thank God, that we have a benevolent force that has put together a new system, period. And hold on a second here while I change my phone. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. But anyway, I'm getting carried away. But the difference between the two RVs is, excuse me, the new RV on the bad side is the same as what they have now, except they've taken away all cash, all currency, all assets, period. And they call it the global currency reset, and they call it the revaluation of currencies. But it really isn't. It's the revaluation from cash to crypto so that they can control the entire planet. And whatever you do, you could have $800 billion in your account, wake up the next day and have it all gone.
So I thought we were going to get rid of these guys before the exchange take place.
Okay, so then that answers your question. Why do you think the exchange has not taken place?
Well, we know that, but I'm saying, how can they then, if they're going to be out of here, then we're not going to have. We know we're not going to have cryptocurrency to take over. But I know you said that's their plan to introduce the Fed coin and then people, cash theirs in or exchange theirs in, and then now they got control of the currency all of a sudden again because they don't have any money now. So if they're going to get rid of them, if they're going to be off the planet, then we don't have that to look forward to.
No, the remnants, a toothless dog still can bite.
So
okay?
it's the little minions that's still going to be running around.
If you have a viral infection that infiltrates every part of the body, like cancer, it seeps into everything. And if you've had thousands of years to do that and perfect that, how many areas do you think are infected? Everybody's eyes are on D.C. Everybody's eyes are on D.C. is saying, look at all the nuts stuff going on there. In fact, the matter, D.C. is an illegal entity operating on the soil of America.
Right.
So is the Vatican, and so is London. They're separate states operating illegally on the soil of foreign countries. So when you have this infection, you've got to eliminate it completely. You can't leave any behind or it'll grow back.
Right.
Now, when they purged the dark agenda many, many, many centuries ago, some of them got away and hid, okay? They made this mistake again with the Nazis because some of the key leaders of the Nazi group defected to Argentina and then came to the United States. They started infiltrating the government in every area, every angle. As science, Russia got half of their scientists, we got half of their scientists after the so-called World War II was done. And they so-called surrendered. Okay? And a lot of people know this. Admiral Byrd got his ass kicked when he went there and because of high-technology weaponry that they had developed that the ETs, the off-worlders gave them. Gave the Nazis this high-advanced technology. And that's why they had jets. And then they had the Foo fighters, which were flying saucers. So when you look at all this and you look at the process, and then the Nazis invaded the Democratic, whether people like it or not, the Democratic group is the Nazi group. It's the Nazi Socialist Party. They came in, they infiltrated the American government, they infiltrated the Congress, the Senate, they bribed and threatened into submission all of the congressmen and senators that were loyal to the states and to the American people. They infected it all, and it's been infected for decades. And they have been literally trying to turn America into a socialist-run state. Not a country, but a socialist-run state. They've utilized and manipulated our militaries to do all the dirty work for them and be the police and the bully of the planet. That's it. London is the administrative wing. D.C. is the military wing. And the Vatican is the boss wing, head of it all. That's why 67% of all of American taxpayers' money, 67%, goes over and pays the British Crown. None of the money that's ever paid by American taxpayers ever stays in this country, never has. It's a big scam on the American people, has been from day one, period. Every single American has a $1 million death addendum that's been taken out for every American. So when American dies, that's why they have their certified birth record, which is also traded on the private markets over and over again, making billions of dollars for the dark agenda. And all of this stuff is happening without the American people's knowledge. Mm-hmm. It's been going on for ages, period.
Yeah, I thought it was 9 million death benefits.
Yeah, it's basically each person that dies, they get paid insurance. They got an insurance premium that the insurance policy that covers every American. Mm-hmm. Now, the American people don't know about that, but that's what they get. So every American is just looked upon as fodder, as a dollar sign. That's it, period. The medical industry has been infiltrated, corrupted. Right. The banking industry is totally corrupted. The insurance industry is totally corrupted. Insurance industry is one of the biggest Ponzi schemes ever invented, right? Scare the crap out of the American people that they and here's another thing. You don't think about this, but they force you to pay for the right to drive your car that you have to pay for. They force you. They title it under their state. Not you. It's not titled under you. It's titled under your state. And you have to pay for that car as long as you want to drive it, even after you've paid the inflated overcharge fee of purchasing it. They take the same loan they gave you and they sell that loan another 9 times. Their toxic derivatives are so off the charts, it's unreal. That's why Basel III is in force, forcing these banks to go belly up. Because once they are belly up, they'll all go out of business. And that's what they're avoiding. That's what the agenda's avoiding. They're trying, the good forces are trying to transition the planet so we don't have an upheaval. Mm-hmm. That's what's going on, okay? No helter-skelter, no last-minute decisions. As frustrating as it is for people, as irritated as people get, I think the most part is that the gurus their hearts hopefully are in the right place most of the time, where they're trying to inform the public that are involved with this transition. That, this is what I know right now. This is what should be happening, and if it doesn't, don't get angry with me. And so people get this hope up and they get the faith. The faith here is that this is happening. All right, it's not going to happen. It's happening. It just doesn't happen. And how many things happen the way you want them to? If you look at your life experiences, they never happen the way you want them to. They never really do. This is happening the way it's been engineered, finitely engineered to take place. More and more you're hearing China talk about the gold-backed yuan and their currency, and more countries are getting paid in the yuan, and they're not sitting there talking about American dollars. They're just not, all right? So the dark agenda says, well, we want to buy gold. You're not going to buy gold with a petrodollar. No, you got to have some kind of gold-backed currency in order to buy gold. Well, everybody says, well, our federal dollars are gold-backed. That's horse-pucky. You can't gold-back a fiat currency. That's why it means it's fiat. It means it's made out of thin air, just like the cryptocurrency, made out of thin air. Anybody to believe that stuff has any value is crazy. And I'll tell you something else. Gold is so overrated it's unreal. So is silver. The fact of the matter is there's so much of the stuff that they've got it packed away in underground caverns that are so massive it blow your mind. Billions upon billions of tons of gold. It's just crazy. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. So then people they've always asked me, so well, how are we going to pay for all this? It's already paid for. Every Zim that's authentic, and I'm using the word authentic, every Zim that's authentic is paid for. Mm-hmm. It's all paid for. Everything's paid for. This wouldn't have been implemented unless it had been paid for. I'll put it that way. All right. Remember, this is a benevolent rule of the planet. This is not the dark agenda rule. The intense purpose here is to make everybody well off. And then you hear all of these shills talking about the fact that, oh, well, then no one's going to work, and we're going to have all this crap going on. Everybody's going to be lazy, and no one's going to want to do anything. That's another bunch of horse pucky, too. We will eventually move into a meritocracy. A meritocracy is based upon people's merit, their efforts. They don't get paid for it because they don't need the money. Money will not be something that you have to work to earn a living. That's a slave mentality. When people say, well, you got to earn a living. Well, what do you mean I have to earn a living? I should be able to come to earth and live freely and live happily. That's what God gave us. God gave us that right. He didn't guess what? You're going to go to earth and you're going to live in poverty. You're going to get stressed out. Your body's going to go to hell in a handbasket. And that's it. That's pretty much your life right there. Okay?
That's not like, why come then? Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah, why would anybody? Well, you come here to perfect yourself. You perfect yourself to come here. All the horse pucky that's been thrown out there through the years, both in the existential area, the New Age area, the spiritualistic area, the Christian area, the Muslim, on and on and on. And the fact of the matter is that this is an Eden. This planet's an Eden. We came here to enjoy it. Yeah, you're still going to learn. You're still going to have life experiences. Doesn't matter. You take away disease, you take away the poverty, you're still going to have challenges. You're still going to have things that you'll be faced with. But you'll have a lot of things that will move away, and you won't deal with them anymore. You won't be taking up all your time and moving all your energy. You know what you'll be doing? You'll be helping other people on merit. Mrs. Johnson down the street needs help. I'm going to go help her today. I know a guy that's great with his hands. He can make anything with it. I want something handmade. I don't want to replicate it, so I'm going to go to Bill Johnson. Bill Johnson's going to make me an easy chair that I'll probably never want to get out of. Stuff like that. We are creators. We cannot be sedentary forever. We're creative. So what's the motivation? Motivation is going to be helping others, building things, doing things, growing things because we want to, because we get enjoyment out of it, playing a guitar because we enjoy it, traveling the countryside in a recreational vehicle because we've always wanted to do it, swimming with the dolphins in the ocean because we've always wanted to do it. Dreams that we never could imagine happening we'll be able to do. Things that we thought we could never do, or time to spend with our families that we were so stressed out, we were so trying to make it through life, and we were always getting banged on and knocked on and ridiculed and held down, that we never were able to enjoy our lives, never able really to enjoy them. Yeah, some bright moments here and there, but most of the time stress and more stress and more stress. And we and then next thing you know, we're so old and we're all burned out, and that's about it.
And you die.
And people being happy, genuinely happy from within. You can't find happiness outside of you because it's inside you. Once you're happy with yourself, then you can really do a lot of miraculous things. So when we're looking at all this wealth, it'll be great in the beginning. Believe you me, it'll be absolutely mind-bogglingly freeing because all of a sudden, I know people that will get out of their cars that they live in right now and will become multi-trillionaires. Remember 20 years ago, no one even mentioned the word trillion. Right? Now people are talking about quadrillions, centillions. Right? Superfluous. Money is not the issue here. It's how to manage it, what people to get together with you, what's your game plan, how you're going to do things, what have you laid out, and anybody can do that. I mean, all you have to do is assert yourself. and say, okay, this is my shopping list. This is what I've got to do. And if I have that intent, and not everybody let's put it this way. Not a lot of people are going to do projects. They might think they are. But when they're faced with all the challenges of setting up one project, they're going to go, you know what? I'd rather just give someone money that's really motivated to do a project. I'd rather do that than have to do this myself because I'm not really cut out for it. Because not everybody is a project engineer.
Well, whenever you look at the mindset of the masses, it's kind of difficult. Now, I have a center for homeless people. And before Christmas, I was on the street recruiting people. I took off from the call. And so I was on the street, when I see somebody on the corners and stuff, I'm approaching them and trying to get them to come out of the cold because it was getting cold even here. And, they make these promises, but they never show up. And they won't go with you right away. So it's kind of discouraging. You talk to them. I talk to people for like 30, 45 minutes just asking them straight up, blunt questions. And they're truthfully answering these questions about, what substance they're on and, what they're willing to make changes in. But they don't come. And it's kind of discouraging because, your heart is like, it goes out to these people, but people have been so wounded by other organizations. So I understand what you mean when you said that it's a lot of things to go through when you're out there, not only with the red tape of the organizations, but also with the mindset of the people, because they crying out, they're asking for help, but when the help shows up, they don't show up to receive it. So it's really going to be a lot of people that get out there and get discouraged and say, you know what, forget it. I went into this one church has a restaurant, and the guy when I was passing by, I kept seeing people saying no, throwing their hand up at him. So I said, let me see what he's asking for. So I walked up, and he said, can you buy me some food? And so the people were saying no. And so this lady in front of me, he was like, well, can you give me a couple of dollars towards food? No. So I came up, and I said, well, what do you want? So he told me what he wanted. So when I get inside, and these two people are in front of me, and this lady ordered some oxtails, and it comes with rice and 2 vegetables. And so she said to the lady behind the counter, I don't want any vegetables. I just want rice. And so I said, well, there's a gentleman outside with his wife that's homeless, and they're hungry. I'm buying them some food. Would you mind letting them separate your vegetables for this couple, and I'll take it to them? She said no. And I said, why not? She said, I don't want to. I said, why not? So she says to the lady behind the counter, well, how much is it without the vegetables? She said it's $11.99 with 2 vegetables, $10.99 without the vegetables. She said, I don't want any vegetables. I said, why not? I said, well, can you give me the vegetables? I'll give you the $1. She said, no. And I turn around and I say as loud as I can, isn't this a church? And everybody in line wait, because there's a long line before us and behind us, going to the register and behind us. Everybody's looking at me like I'm wrong. And I'm like, what in the world is going on with the world? So I can see why people that think they're going to do projects will change their mind, because I was so upset, and more than upset, I was hurt, because I'm saying this is a church that's serving food. And you got somebody on the steps beside the door asking for food, and your heart is closed and you're saying no. So, I mean, it was all I could do to keep from crying. When I got out, I talked to him for almost an hour. I'm sure the food was cold. And then He promised that they were coming to the center the next day. Of course, they never showed up, him and his wife. But when I got back to my center, I called my girlfriend. It was all I could do to keep from crying. So I had to call to get some kind of spiritual counseling in order to maintain my composure. You got people on this end that need the help, and they are so beat down by people that can give the help. And then you've got people that can give the help that their heart is closed and they don't want to give the help. So you're right. People that think they're going to do projects are going to get out there, and it's going to be a whole different story. And it's like you're getting beat by the organizations that want to maintain their status quo and keep the money. They don't want any outsiders coming in regardless and trying to tap into their gain. And then you got the people that's being beat by the system that don't want to move forward with anybody else because they've been beat so much. Then you got the people that can help that don't want to help. So what do you do?
Yeah, that's why you have a plan A, B, and C. Okay.
Exactly.
And it's not a big deal if people say, well, I'm not equipped to do a project. I thought I was, but I'm not. It's okay. It's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you got all this money, and you take care of your initial needs and your private concerns and your family and friend, whatever. However you do that, you seek out counsel. You find people that can educate you and do certain things for you, and you will. You'll be guided in a lot of ways. You just be very careful and very quiet and very under the radar. That's very important. There's a lot of unsavory sorts that have been waiting like vultures for everybody to get their money. And they're just sitting there waiting to get the money. They don't have any currency because they're going to steal it from everybody else.
So I thought that the Galactics had put safeguards in place to safeguard people from that type of behavior.
Well, they have, but you got to understand that they can still steal it, and it's a temporary upheaval emotionally for the people that are the victims until the money's returned.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, you've got certain situations that people, you just don't think about that stuff. You don't, right now everybody's concerned about one thing. Let's face it, okay? They're tired, they're distressed, they're financially tapped, and they just want rest. They want peace, quiet rest, and they want security. They want financial security,
Mm-hmm.
And as time goes by here, and they don't see it, and then they lose faith, and a tremendous amount of people have sold all their currency and just given up.
Yeah,
a ton compared to 5 years ago. A ton of people have just walked away. I'm going to go get a life. I'm tired of this. This is all crap. It's all garbage. If it happens, that's up. Good for you guys. I'm done. Okay? So the key that people don't know why they're so compelled to hang in there, don't know why they're so compelled to stick to it and to follow it and to be disappointed and to be let down, and another holiday comes and goes, nothing happens, and they're wondering and they're questioning and they're doubting and everything. But it's when it hits here, as no one expects it to, and when it hits, everybody that stayed in the game, because it pretty much is a game, everybody that stayed in the game will be rewarded. And then the reality will hit and take place. And so that's why we're that close, and so that's why I'm saying that people, you may have enough time to put your game plan together. And don't try and keep it all in your head. Take a notebook out. It costs about, 50 cents? You buy a notebook, pad of paper, and you start writing it out. What are the pros on having this kind of money? If you have dinar, say you're going to get $50 per dinar. Figure out how much you have. This is how much I'm going to have. What am I going to do with it? Well, I'm going to start. It's like a Ben Franklin close. You put the pros on one side and the cons on the other side. You add them all up, and you find out what are the benefits here. Okay, how am I going to protect my confidentiality? How am I going to keep under the radar? What am I going to do at the bank? Who am I going to want to talk with? I'm going to talk with wealth manager. I'm going to talk with an off-ledger account specialist. I'm going to get together with certain people to help me manage my money because I want to make sure it's protected and it's safe. I don't care to have people to know what I have. I'm not interested in having people know what I have. So I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm going to help whoever I can in an indiscreet way, actually a discreet way, so that I can, get money to certain people through other people. And that way I can work things through. I can have a good life, a healthy life. I'm not going to worry about projects right now. Right now what I got to do is get my own affairs in order. I got to get my family's affairs in order that I want to help and assist. I've got some friends I want to assist and help. And that's what a lot of people are going to be consumed with in the beginning. And they'll get a learning lesson there as well. Nobody's an expert. Everybody will learn as they go. But if they seek counsel and they seek people out to kind of help them in like a little mastermind group, people that are skilled in certain areas that will be glad to help them, they'll be a lot better off. And if they're truly committed to doing projects, they're truly committed, and maybe they've had some experience and exposure, and maybe they've done a few projects here and there or been a part of one, and they know what's involved, that's different. Then they will. They'll carry it out. But, doing these astronomical projects and making all these statements, saying that you're going to do this, that's all fine and dandy. But understand what you're undertaking. Do you have all your ducks in a row? Have you contacted all the appropriate people? Have you gotten together a mastermind group? Do you have a plan? Have you put that plan in position so that you can launch it? Have you talked with experts in those areas that you don't know anything about? Have you laid the groundwork out so that you can launch this without hassle? All right? Have you had conversations with people in the municipalities? Can I do this if I wanted to do this? Could I do this and could I do that? Because I need your help here. I want to know what my parameters are, what I have to work in as far as rules and regulations and that type of thing. Because that's you lay all that out, and no one, some people might be doing that, but I'll guarantee you about 90% plus are not, because they're so fixated on the RV happening today or tomorrow that that's all they're concentrating on, and they're saying, well, I'll do everything else later. You won't have time. You won't have time. It will. Your mind will go absolutely blitzkrieg, and you'll just be going, okay, I got to, and you'll just be running around, your head chopped off. Period. I suggest that when people monetize their currency, I honestly suggest that they take a couple of days and let it just soak in. Obviously, they're going to, take their card or some counter checks and get their bills caught up or whatever, or save their house from mortgage failure or whatever, so on and so forth, get all those things taken care of, or maybe even, buy a place or rent a place because they're living in their cars. But you get those immediate needs and concerns out of the way, and then just kind of sit back for yourself, because you need some healing, because you've been through the wars, and sit back and take it in. And be grateful and thankful to the Creator, to the God, that, you were able to persevere with His help, that you've made it, and that now you're going to reap the benefits of His gift. And you will. But I would suggest that people just kick back for a few days and just kind of let it just sink in, to let it so that they realize that, you know what, I don't ever have to worry about being without anymore. I don't ever have to worry about this stuff. And when I see somebody that needs help, I'll be able to help them. I'll be able to do a lot of things that I always dreamt of doing, but have never been able to do them. I mean, there are certain things that you can do through other people so that you keep your anonymity. You can hire somebody. There was an old television show called The Millionaire, and this wealthy millionaire hired a guy to go around and randomly give people $1 million. and they had to sign an agreement where they didn't disclose it, so on and so forth. And then each episode showed what happened and what they did with the money and how it affected their lives. Probably find that on YouTube or something, or some of the archives on social media and live streaming, and watch some of the episodes. It was quite interesting on how it affected people's lives. So when you get this money, because you're going to get it, believe you me, you're going to get it, I would just take a couple of days and just let it soak in. Take care of your immediate needs. It's just a suggestion. Everybody's going to do what they want to do. But it's something that I think everybody deserves to have a break. That they should, hey, I'm just kicking back and just letting it flow. Letting it flow. Because is the world going to be different? Yeah, it will be for those who hung in there. It will be always forever different. Their lives will be changed forever. Is it going to change for everybody else? Not immediately. No, it won't. There's still going to be poor people. There's still going to be people struggling. The change that's going to be affected is going to come through each and every one of you. Every one of you will affect the change. That'll be a domino effect. Eventually, helping others will become a daily event. Being a philanthropist will become a daily affair, where you have a staff of people, you've hired an assistant that helps you with things, makes arrangements, and I'd recommend that anybody with substantial currency monetization gets an assistant, hires an assistant, somebody they can trust, that's their right arm person, that helps them do things, that sets schedules, appointments, because the more you delegate, the happier you'll become. All right? Don't detach yourself from the happenings, but you delegate a certain amount of authority, it helps you breathe easier. And it also helps others do what they're good at. Mm-hmm. So when you're good at something and you're doing a good job, you feel good. And humans like to feel good. Let's face it. They're always looking how to feel good. I want to feel good. I want to feel happy. I want to be happy. I want to enjoy the joy. So, but hopefully you've got a bird's eye view of the confusing dilemma of the two RVs. There are literally two. There's not one, and then the other's in shambles. It's a new one, but it's an old, but it's packaged newly. That's it, right? And they're trying to mix that in confusion with the new system. People say, well, we've got the SIP system and the gold currency system. Yeah, the SIP system, which is a new transfer system. It's not the SWIFT system. It's the SIP system. And the SIP system is transparent and it's instantaneous. And that's why they designed it that way. The Hercules system, the computerized system, all of these systems, the artificial intelligence, the algorithms and everything, they've mixed them all up, so no one knows which one's good and which one's bad. And they're all confused. Keep everybody confused and dismantled so that they're running around in a daze, not knowing what the heck's going on and what the real truth is. And guess what? They've done a good job of it, because most people out there are confused and dazed on what really is going on.
Well, that's because they listen to everything and they don't know what brings them peace.
That's true. That's true. Because once you have the wealth, then you got to know what to do with it and how to be a responsible steward for the gifts of the Creator. Come on, figure it out. Where in this lifetime or any lifetime before this lifetime is anybody going to have an opportunity to take a bond and exchange it for trillions of dollars when they probably spent $50 to $60 on that bond? Mm-hmm. Nobody in their right mind would ever believe that's possible. Nobody.
$3.
They would.
When we started, it was $3. Yeah.
So what you would think that you're off your rocker. You're nuts. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely nuts. This is just a big scam. You're going to get nothing. You've wasted your life on this. This is a joke. And that little voice comes in every now and then, and it starts working on you, and it tells you that. You're crazy, you're stupid, this is dumb, get rid of it, get on with your life. This is all a dream that everybody's conjured up. It's never going to happen. It's always going to be this way. You'll be here 10 years from now. They'll say it's Christmas again, and it's happening. You know? Some people.
That's why you got to know the word. Because you can believe what the word says, that it shall be transferred. So that's right. What somebody asked me the other day. Somebody texted me and asked me, why do you think we allow ourselves to engage in the hokey pokey? And I said, hope, faith, desperation, programmed insanity, different. It's all different for each person. It depends on where their heartstrings are.
And you know what's funny? This is happening in front of everybody.
Right in front.
It's right in front of their faces. It can't be any more blatant. It's happening right in front of them. They're actually seeing things drop into place. Mm-hmm. But yet they're relying on other people to tell them what's going on.
Yeah, denial.
They become blind. When you look at a tree in the forest and you don't see the forest, but you just see the tree, what happens? Huh?
You can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah. You eat the candy bar but never read the wrapper. Or you read the wrapper and never eat the candy bar. So look at, if everybody would just take a deep breath and step back and look at everything that's taking place and has taken place at such breakneck speed, they would feel a lot more comforted than they do now. I mean, if they just look at things, and I'm not talking about mainstream media because that's not going to show you diddly. Mm-mm. But when you start digging and you start looking and you start researching and you start realizing what really is happening, people put these articles up about Zimbabwe. More propaganda. They're broke. They're in trouble. They're an impoverished country. They've been playing that game for decades.
Yeah,
so broke,
same here. We get the same info that's been recycled for 3 or 4 years continuously. Same. If you go back and look at Intel from 5 years ago, it's the same thing that was just published these few last few days. It's like, come on now, you got to know that this is being recycled.
Yeah. So you get the shills on the minions are out there constantly spitting out bad information. Mm-hmm. It's always bad. If you ever notice the cycle, each week you got a cycle. The cycle goes like this. Everything's really quiet right now, but that's not a bad sign. That's probably a good sign. Not much intel going on. We're on an intel blackout. Then all of a sudden you have a big explosion of information. Everything's set, ready to go. It should happen before tonight's over. And then nothing happens. Then everybody gets their hopes up and then crash. Boom, nothing.
Well, that's what it's set up to do because, again, there's this word called loosh.
Yeah.
So,
they want to keep people, putting it this way, they want to keep everybody angry, upset, irritated, frustrated, fearful, stressed, and depressed. The more they can create that in the communities of the people that are looking to monetize their currencies, the happier they are. The more excitement they feel.
Keep division.
How irritated.
Totally opposite. Yeah, totally opposite from what the word says, where that it's in unity where the blessing is commanded, where God commands the blessing, not in division and confusion.
Oh, it's hopefully that gives people an underlying understanding of the fact of what really has been going on. I mean, the real truth here. Mm-hmm. You got two factions vying for control of the planet. That's exactly the bottom line. You've got the good benevolent forces who are ahead of the game and are winning the whole battle. Not just the battle, but the war. You've got the remnants of a once very powerful entity that is trying to hold on to its power base and cannot. It is losing it every single second, and it is thrashing around, fighting tooth and nail to keep it. It will do anything at this point, even blow the planet up in order to keep its power. And it can't. It cannot do it. And it's dying. gasping for air, but it's still trying to stop it.
Still fight.
Period. Don't let anybody fool you when everybody says, oh, they're done, they're finished, they're dead. They're not done or finished. Because if they were done or finished, you would already have monetization of your currency.
That's right. That's right.
It's a dead giveaway right there. That's a for sure thing. You'll know that. See, that's when you know that the war is over, is when you find out that you have contact information to be able to go into the bank and monetize your currency. That'll be it. That'll be it. And the wealth of knowledge, you'll be so happy that you have been around to absorb things that Dr. W.C. and other parties have shared with you through the years on what this thing's all about. And I think they've done a tremendous job on trying to convey to people what this is about, what we're about to do, what we're undertaking, what our responsibilities are, what our deep desires and commitments are to follow through with this, is to be good stewards of the wealth of the planet, is to be stewards of the wealth and distributors of the wealth, and not to be hoarders, and not to go hide away somewhere like hermits, but to participate with each other and to stick together and to work together and to create a harmony and a peace and a balance on planet Earth that's never been seen or experienced before, ever, ever. It's always been disharmony to a great extent on planet Earth. And we can change that. And we've been given the tools. You have the tool. You've been given the tool, and it's the currency you're carrying and what you'll be able to do once you have it monetized. Mm-hmm. And it isn't far off. I'm going to tell everybody that. It is not months and months away. So, you know, you're in a position, you have a window, not a big one, but you do have a window of time to brush up on things. What am I going to do? I'm going to sit at the dining room table, and I'm going to write down what I need to do. And if you have to do it in your car seat, then do it in your car seat. But get your mind thinking in that direction, because it will save you a lot of pain. It will save you a lot. You know, it's like, okay, this is the color. This is how I want it designed. This is the people I'm going to have to talk with, period. You know, people say, well, I'm living in my car. I won't look too good. Who cares? Doesn't make any difference. You're a wealthy, beyond imagination human being. You don't have access to it yet, but you very shortly will. And that's how you should look at it. You're a wealthy human being. Everybody carrying currency on this call is a wealthy human being. In fact, some of you are so wealthy that you put the Dark Agenda members to shame. You know? But there's no egos should be involved here. So basically, you're a very wealthy person that's getting ready to be a good steward of great wealth and responsible distribution of that wealth to the human race. But
Jared, well, with that being said, let me see. We didn't get to any questions. Will you be back tomorrow?
What I was going to suggest to do is that we'll start up tomorrow on tomorrow night's call, and then we'll just field questions. We'll just have people that need to ask questions will ask questions.
That would be excellent, because we didn't get to them, and I'm sure they will be more than happy to do that. So I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the opportunity to come in and share with us. And I do have one question. I want you to answer it like in 2 minutes if you can. How will, when you talked about the anti-gravity device, you know what I'm talking about, the anti-gravity?
Anti-gravitic, yeah, the scooters, yeah.
And you said that, you know, people could go into the universe and all of that. How will we know where to tell this device to go?
Eventually, the information, a lot of the star charts and everything are already available.
Ah, okay.
So that'll be put into a database, and the unit will be able to know where to go and navigate.
Ah.
As we explore out and branch out into the galaxy, we will chart and map other Class M planets for colonization, and we will add that to the database. The database will be duplicated and installed on all units for, leisure travel. Somebody might want to go to the Class M X-24 planet, and spend some time because it has purple oceans, and they like the color purple. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
You're going to see off-worlders. People call them extraterrestrials, whatever, but I call them off-worlders, and they'll be coming and going on Earth like an everyday occurrence. We will have friends, associations, acquaintances. We will take trips to their planet. They'll spend time here on Earth. I mean, it's going to be a whole different ballgame.
Like Deep Space Nine?
Pardon?
Kind of like Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, kind of like that. We'll meet other species, other intelligent humanoids that we'll interact with and we'll be friends with. We'll make friends, acquaintances, good friends. We'll learn. That's what we were meant to do anyway. Creator created all these civilizations so we'd interact and learn. Different technologies, different worlds, different experiences, different life forms. We weren't meant to be locked in on a prison planet on planet Earth, overpopulated, blow it up and die. That's just not.
How far in advance is this, say, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, or approximate?
Oh, you're probably looking within 5 years. We're going to, the understanding of off-worlders existing will be common knowledge. There won't be any question anymore. In 10 years, you'll have visitations to other planets.
Okay, I'm not going to hold up any longer because it's right at midnight, and I would like to finish that discussion, though, at a later time.
Yeah, well, we'll do Q&A tomorrow night, and so people can ask questions, and, I'll do my best. I'm not an authority on anything. I just know some things.
So we're grateful for what you do now.
So, but that sounds good. We'll just pick up. We'll just do Q&A tomorrow night.
Okay. Well, then I will see you tomorrow night. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you and have a wonderful night.
God bless everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Real Truth, you're welcome. So, Real Truth callers, this call will not be posted until I get to the office tomorrow. Again, I don't have, I'm using a hotspot from my phone, so I can't get it posted tonight. So, for those of you looking for the recording, it will be posted tomorrow morning when I get to my office. God bless you. Have a wonderful night, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Okay? All right, then. Good night, everyone. I got to see how to turn this thing off now on my iPad. Hold on. Okay, there it is.